Hi, gorgeous beings. Welcome back to Shelter in the Storm with A Course in Miracles lesson 45. Let's keep going with text, chapter 3, part 6, Judgment and the Authority Problem. Let me just retract just by about a sentence or so. Judgment always involves rejection. It never emphasizes only the positive aspects of what is judged, whether in you or in others. What has been perceived and rejected, or judged and found wanting, remains in your mind because it has been perceived. One of the illusions from which you suffer is the belief that what you judged against has no effect. This cannot be true unless you also believe that what you judged against does not exist. You evidently do not believe this, or you would not have judged against it. In the end, it does not matter whether your judgment is right or wrong. Either way, you are placing your belief in the unreal. This cannot be avoided in any type of judgment, because it implies the belief that reality is yours to select from. You have no idea of the tremendous release and deep peace that comes from meeting yourself and your brothers totally without judgment. When you recognize what you are and what your brothers are, you will realize that judging them in any way is without meaning. In fact, their meaning is lost to you precisely because you are judging them. All uncertainty comes from the belief that you are under the coercion of judgment. You do not need judgment to organize your life, and you certainly do not need it to organize yourself. In the presence of knowledge, all judgment is automatically suspended, and this is the process that enables recognition to replace perception. You are very fearful of everything you have perceived, but have refused to accept. You believe that, because you have refused to accept it, you have lost control over it. This is why you see it in nightmares, or in pleasant disguises in what seem to be your happier dreams. Nothing that you have refused to accept can be brought into awareness. It is not dangerous in itself, but you have made it seem dangerous to you. When you feel tired, it is because you have judged yourself as being capable of being tired. And when you laugh at someone, it is because you have judged him as unworthy. When you laugh at yourself, you must laugh at others, if only because you cannot tolerate the idea of being more unworthy than they are. All this makes you feel tired because it is essentially disheartening. You are not really capable of being tired, but you are very capable of wearying yourself. The strain of constant judgment is virtually intolerable. It is curious that an ability so debilitating would be so deeply cherished. Yet if you wish to be the author of reality, you will insist on holding on to judgment. You will also regard judgment with fear, believing that it will someday be used against you. Okay, so we'll finish reading our text tomorrow. Let's move on for lesson number 45. God is the mind with which I think. Today's idea holds the key to what your real thoughts are. They are nothing that you think you think. just as nothing that you think you see is related to vision in any way. There is no relationship between what is real and what you think is real. Nothing that you think are your real thoughts. Nothing that you think are your real thoughts resemble your real thoughts in any respect. Nothing that you think you see bears any resemblance to what vision will show you. You think with the mind of God. Therefore, you share your thoughts with Him, as He shares His with you. They are the same thoughts, because they are thought by the same mind. To share is to make alike or to make one. Nor do the thoughts you think with the mind of God leave your mind, because thoughts do not leave their source. Therefore your thoughts are in the mind of God, as you are. You are in your mind as well. They are in your mind as well, where He is. As you are part of His mind, so are your thoughts part of His mind. Where, then, are your real thoughts? Today, we will attempt to reach them. We will have to look for them in your mind, because that is where they are. They must still be there, because they cannot have left their source. What is thought by the mind of God is eternal, being part of creation. Our 3 5-minute practice periods for today will take the same general form that we used in applying yesterday's idea. We will attempt to leave the unreal and seek for the real. We will deny the world in favor of truth. We will not let the thoughts of the world hold us back. We will not let the beliefs of the world tell us that what God would have us do is impossible. Instead, we will try to recognize that only what God would have us do is possible. We will also try to understand that only what God would have us do is what we want to do. And we will also try to remember that we cannot fail in doing what He would have us do. There is every reason to feel confident that we will succeed today. It is the will of God. Begin the exercises for today by repeating the idea to yourself. Close your eyes as you do so. Then spend a fairly short period in thinking a few relevant thoughts of your own, keeping the idea in mind. After you have added some 4 or 5 thoughts of your own to the idea, repeat it again and tell yourself gently, "My real thoughts are in my mind. I would like to find them." Then try to go past all the unreal thoughts that cover the truth in your mind and reach to the eternal. Under all the senseless thoughts and mad ideas with which you have cluttered up your mind are the thoughts that you thought with God in the beginning. They are there in your mind now, completely unchanged. They will always be in your mind, exactly as they always were. Everything you have thought since then will change, but the foundation on which it rests is wholly changeless. It is this foundation toward which the exercises for today are directed. Here is your mind joined with the mind of God. Here are your thoughts, one with His. For this kind of practice, only one thing is necessary. Approach it as you would an altar dedicated in heaven to God the Father and to God the Son, for such is the place you are trying to reach. You will probably be unable as yet to realize how high you are trying to go. Yet even with the little understanding you have already gained, you should be able to remind yourself that this is no idle game, but an exercise in holiness and an attempt to reach the kingdom of heaven. In the shorter exercise periods for today, try to remember how important it is to you to understand the holiness of the mind that thinks with God. Take a minute or two as you repeat the idea throughout the day to appreciate your mind's holiness. Stand aside, however briefly, from all thoughts that are unworthy of Him whose host you are, and thank Him for the thoughts He is thinking with you. Now on to Jesus Commentary, Lesson 45. God is the mind with which I think. Sometimes I don't think anyone can see the picture at all. I can't see if you can see it. Okay. You are blessed beings indeed. I am that one you know as Jesus. We thank you for joining us today. We are impressed with the work you are doing with the benefit of this supportive commentary. A Course in Miracles is a very challenging mind training program. We want to remind you of the mind training program that you have gone through in your society. Think of all the years of school. You got up when you didn't want to. Perhaps you wore clothes you didn't want to. Sat in hard chairs, even when you were tired. Studied things you had no interest in. And participated in activities that did not appeal to you. This was the foundational mind training program of your society for more than a decade. Every single day, barely giving you time off, with homework, projects, and extracurricular activities. You must remember it for what it is. You were trained to override the ideas, inspirations, and guidance you have access to innately as a son or a daughter of God. You then go to university or work, whichever comes your way. Once again, if you want to get that paycheck or make your grades, you do things you do not want to do. You write papers that challenge the mind about subjects you do not feel aligned with. Yet, it's a mandatory subject you must complete to get your degree. Or you work in a place that pays you poorly, treats you badly, and asks you to override that guidance that says to run outside into the sunshine. Another mind training program. After your exhausting day, you go home to your television and watch it because you have no energy left. You have been in resistance all day, a joyless, difficult, challenging and scary day. Perhaps you have had no support. Perhaps you are alone in a dorm or an apartment. You come home exhausted and lonely, and you turn on your television. There again, the programming continues, night after night, day after day, year after year. You have experienced a profound mind training program. When you reflect on the lessons in A Course in Miracles, we want you to compare apples with apples. We want you to compare this mind training program with the mind training program we have just described. We are asking very little of you compared to that mind training program. Yet this one is a powerful transformative tool that brings you to a place of peace. We want you not to argue with this plan. Rather, compare it to the plan you've gone through. We want you to compare the two because we are undoing that mind training program together. A powerful, long, determined mind training program your society set for you. We want you to compare these few minutes and these little challenges we set for you to what you have already gone through. The most magnificent mind training program there is. Western society. Relax a little bit. Come to these lessons joyfully and know you are breaking free from this. Return to that connection with the holy mind of God that you have been asked to abandon in favor of television, work, money, food, cigarettes, alcohol, and sex. All the things you had programmed into you as replacements for this most wonderful connection. I am that one you know as Jesus. You will not regret these lessons. Make sure you do not tell yourself they are far too hard for you to handle and that you cannot master this. Remember, you have been through the mind training program of Western society and you have mastered it. If you can do that, you can do this. We will see you again tomorrow. Namaste. Much love.